Yo, give me a second, y'all. Hold on. We setting something up real quick. I'm really just trying to test these settings that I changed on the setup here. And I'm also trying to there's this like widget that I'm trying to set up so that I can fucking see the comments from all platforms. I'm here to give you feedback, my brother. Thank you. Thank you, my good sir. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? How's the audio, first and foremost? About to be on my way for real. Unlock the door. Love. Say no more. You know how I'm rocking. Alright. Yo, yo, what is going on? What an amazing day. What an amazing day it has been. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know. Let me know what's going on. Let me know how we feeling today. My one viewer. What's going on? I'm about to drop the knowledge. Shout out to you. What's going on? What is going on? Setting up a few more things here. Trying to get this posted around here. See if we could get a couple people to join up. Nah, I mean.
Back at it. Back at it. Smoking the sky.
What it do? What it do? Can you hear me? Is the question. What's going on? What is going on to the good people in the world on this fine, fine Wednesday afternoon? My fault. Hold on. I don't know why my AirPods is not connecting to my phone. Shit tweaking. Hold on. Yeah, look, that's why. Alright, hold up. Forget. Yo. What it do? Give me a second, y'all. I had to reconnect my headphones and shit. It is looking great. Hold on. All right, perfect. Now my AirPod is connected. Can you hear me? No, I'm talking about through my AirPod. Like, you can hear me. Yeah, you can hear me. All right. And then what? The stream is working well? Alright, bet. Good. I fixed it. Yeah. Alright. What's going on, babe? I miss you, girl. Yo. Okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna go here. No glitching so far? Okay. I'm glad to hear it. Alright, let me see. Let's go to the starting screen. How'd that transition look? We good? We good in the hood. Alright, let's see how the music. Let me see. Can y'all hear that? Y'all can't hear the music? Can y'all hear me? Oh, yeah, Jay, I was on the stream already. That's what I was trying to connect my AirPod for, because I'm trying to connect to the stream on my phone so I could hear it while I'm on it. Yeah. So just talk to me through the chat, and I'm about to connect through my phone. All right, love. You falling asleep at work? Don't fall asleep. I'm gonna be there in a couple hours to get you. All right. What is going on to the good people in the world? I think I did the research that I needed so that things can be set up correctly. Let me just... Boom. Alright. 4K quality. Shout out my OG. She in the chat. Shout out to her. She got me this webcam. She said, "Hey, you doing bad out here, man. Let me upgrade ya." No Beyonce. Alright. What a day, right? What a day. Let's go to the... Look. This is today's results. Can we just take a moment to appreciate? Let's take a moment to appreciate the outcome of what could have really been a really bad day, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I started the stream earlier, and I was already in red by about $800. I was in the red by $800 before 8:30 even came, right? And look, you can tell today is a bad winning day, right? Today is a bad winning day because I took way too many trades, right? I took way too many. I mean, not way too many. I want to try to stay in between the 5 to 10 range, right? Because that keeps me from over trading, and once you see a good amount of green after 2-3 trades, it's not really healthy to continue trading, right? Just like how I learned yesterday. I learned the hard way yesterday. And like I was saying, yesterday we finished the day with about a $400 green day, right? And I get done and we close the stream and the trading day ends and the new trading day starts. So the new trading day starts at it starts at 6 p.m. each day, right? So it starts at 6 p.m. each day, and hold on, give me a second. All right, so it starts at 6 p.m. each day, and yesterday when 6 p.m. hit, basically when the trading day ended, what I should have done was take all the alerts off of my chart, right? So that way it doesn't even give me a reason to look at my chart again. And so yesterday the trading day ended, and I still have my setups on my charts from the stream, and I still got the alerts there, and I get an alert, and I'm like, man, like, yo, I could make more money, bro. Like, it's still going the way it was during the stream. I can make way more money than I did today, than I did earlier. Let me keep trading, right? So I learned the hard way that, you can't think that you are the one dictating what the market is doing, right? You can't get on your high horse after 1, 2, 3 green days and, expect everything to just go your way. I'm about to show you guys these trades that I got into. But yeah, then some crazy things happened, and we're gonna break it down. Hopefully, in enough time before I gotta leave out of here. We're probably gonna close this stream here around like 3. Yeah, around 3 or so. All right. I hope you guys can see this clearly. We're going to take it back to, it's supposed to be June 8th, right? Because June 8th at 6 p.m. is what would have started today's trading session. So we need to go to June 8th after 6 p.m., which is right here. Boom. So I'm just going to scroll up so that everything on the screen as far as all the trades that I took is the only thing that's showing. Perfect. All right, let's break this shit down. Analyze this shit, right? I don't know what I was doing, if I'm gonna be honest. I was tripping. I know for sure I was tripping because my girl's like, dang, she's like, you're on your phone a lot more today than usual. And like, basically me being on the charts. And she's like, what possibly could have happened from, I forgot what 2 points she pointed out. And it probably literally wasn't even a span of 3 to 5 minutes. She's like, what possibly could have happened on the chart that you need to be looking at your phone again? And I was like, oh, like I had got an alert and I'm just like watching it, whatever, and like boom, right there. Like I know for sure I was in the wrong when I'm staring at my phone, looking at the chart, hawking down like whatever trade it is that I'm in, right? Because then that shows that I don't really trust the trade that I got into in the first place. So she's like, giving me that reality check, and then at the time, what was going on? What time was it? So, boom, right? The entry time. It was 7:27 p.m. And the trade was doing really good at first, right? It was I got in for a short, and if you recall earlier during that day, in silver, right? So the contract is silver. Yeah, so the contract is silver that I had got into I'm sorry. The market was silver with the trade that I got into yesterday at 7:27 p.m., right? But yesterday during the trading session at 9:31 a.m., right? I got in for a short on silver, and I made $590 from that trade, right? So, and that was at 9:31 a.m., right when the market opened, right? Remember that. Right when the market opened. When I say market, I mean like the New York market, right? When all the big banks and big constitutions and everyone else is entering the trading market. So that yesterday, the short trade, or the sell that I made $590, right? So that same day, 7:27 p.m., probably a couple minutes before that, I get an alert, and price is still showing good price action to the downside, right? Because I got in for a short. So I got in for another short at 7:27 p.m. and I lost $490, right? At that point, I was still green in the day. So I'm like, okay, I might have lost that one, but where can I capitalize, right? What happened next? Oh, okay, so wait, right? So I got in this trade at 7:27 p.m. and I got stopped out of the trade. So the exit time was 1:42 a.m. So I wasn't up at that time, right? But I had a stop loss set, and I had went to sleep, and I woke up to my stop loss being hit and me losing the 490. So I'm still green. I'm still green based off of the day that I had yesterday morning, right? So when I did wake up, it was to go use the bathroom. It was to go pee, right? And I looked at my phone, and I seen probably 30, 40 alerts on my phone from the chart, and I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, shit is going crazy. So I got in for another short because it was going in the direction that my bias was when I originally first placed the trade earlier during that day. And so at that time, it's 4:37 a.m. And I'm going to use the bathroom, right? And I used the bathroom. I had set this trade up, and I also went back to sleep, and I ended up it hit my take profit, and I gained $190, and that trade I got out of it at 6:14 a.m. So I'm getting alerts on my phone. I wake up. I'm like, okay, things are going well, right? I go in for another short. And at that time, it's 6:20 a.m. today. Like 6:20 a.m. today. This morning. I go in for another trade. I lose 130. I'm like, damn. All right. Maybe I should go for a long, right? Maybe what I'm doing just isn't working right now. So literally it was 6:26 a.m. when I lost this short trade that I made. And then literally in the same second. Oh my gosh. Literally, are y'all seeing this? In the same second, I got into another trade. What am I doing? I got into another trade, and I got stopped out of that trade 9 minutes later and lost $155. So okay, this is great, right? Now that we're going over this. 6:35 a.m. and 6:59 a.m., right? I go in to try to do two more trades. One is a short and one is a long. Why am I changing my bias? Right? If I'm going to place a trade, it's because I know that it's my setup and it's my strategy, and that's what I should be trading. But I wasn't. I just wasn't, right? And look, nothing even happened in these trades, right? It was $0 when I exited these trades. So that means there was no reason for me to even be in it. And then again, 1 minute after, I go in for another trade. This is crazy. This is crazy, right? I go in for another trade. I go in for a long. I lose $185. I go in for another trade. I go in for another trade. This is about the time where this is about the time where I was streaming this morning. Yeah, okay. Right. So, boom. Same day today, 9:45 a.m. This is about the time I was streaming this morning, and I was having a lot of difficulty. What time is this? 7:04. Yeah, I wasn't streaming at this time. So yeah, 9:45 a.m. Right. This was about the time I was about to get onto the charts with the stream, but I was having like connection issues. By the way, let me know how it feels for y'all. We got someone on Twitch and we got 2 on Facebook. Have things been running smooth so far? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see like what is going on? Let me know. How are y'all? What's good? We're breaking down these losses, right? We're breaking down these losses, and we are trying to correct them and prevent me from doing this again. I'm gonna show you guys on the chart too, right? I hope they actually show me though. Yeah, okay, so they can't show me, but they can show me exactly where the entry and the exit price is. So I'll go to TradingView and we'll go through these trades, and you guys will see like how ridiculous this is, bro. Because it was insane. We started the day down $800, right? So, boom. I was streaming this morning, and around 9:45 ish. That was when I was planning to, get into the market for the day on stream, and see what we could work out. And my first trade of the day, my first actual trade of the day after all the BS, right, down here. So my first actual trade within my strategy, I ended up losing 101. It's all good. Losses definitely happen. Let me change that. I messed that up. No. I think I just messed up the order that I was in. Let me see. Damn. That's okay. Now it's just going downwards instead of upwards. All right, so here's where we were, right? Yeah. So my first. Keep doing what you doing. What up? What up, Zay? What up, Zay? Love squad. Good to see you. Keep doing your thing too, man. I heard about that blessing. Keep it up. Hope you and the fam, my little nephew. Tell him I said, what's going on? Give him a noogie. Alright. So yeah, right? First trade of the day, we lost the 101. And the next one shortly after in gold, 2 minutes after, things got a little better. At this moment, I'm scalping, right? So I'm on the smaller time frame, and basically taking small wins, or smaller, well, not even small wins, right? Because $47, $135, and then this one here, which was absolutely insane. It would have been nice to get this on stream, right? The duration of this trade was only a minute, right? But it would have been nice to get this on stream. But yeah, anyway, so basically, what I meant by small is the entry price for this trade. So I entered when gold was at $4,363. All right, that's what it was worth, right? And I got in the trade with one contract. So I got in the trade with one contract, right? And when I entered, it was at 4,363. I entered with one contract, right? And the value of gold went from 4,363 to 4,368, right? So that is a 5-point move, or about a 5-point move, right? We're just off by a couple decimals here. And the conversion for gold, right? The conversion for gold for a 1-point move is equal to $10, right? So if it moves 1 point, that is a $10 gain or loss, depending on what direction it's going and what direction your position is in, right? So basically, I went in for a long, right? I went in for a long, and basically I said that the market, or whatever it is that I'm trading, would gain value, right? That the price of it would go up. So I entered in at this specific price at this specific time, and in 29 seconds it went up to this specific price. It went up 5 points, or no, 4.7 points. Oh, look, perfect math, right? So if the point change was 4.7 points, right, and it's $10 worth a point for gold, that means the overall gain or loss would have been 47, and that's exactly what it is, right? And then there's just fees and commissions that the platform takes for even placing a trade. So we're gonna break that down on the quick maths. The thing goes scrap. Yo, that was when I was in like middle school. Bro, you know what else was in middle school? That was when everybody was starting to trade, like, the first time around. Like, that was when forex trading and Redding was like going around, and I was like seeing people posted around and shit. Yeah, Yumbo days. Yeah, bro, like that was the time I was seeing people post stuff around about trading in the first place. But I was a super Yumbo, so I ain't even really know what I was looking at. But I was seeing the money, I was seeing, you know, the basis of it. And who would have thought that almost 10 years later, wait, we're in 2026? Yeah, probably exactly 10 years later. Because what, that was around 2016-ish when trading was popular out here in Redding. It was like the Matrix. Nah, that ass. But yeah, bro, who would have thought that 10 years later, like, I'm back picking this up and like actually understanding it, right? From a time and place where I didn't even know what that was, but I knew the possibilities of it, right? I was seeing other people have successes. And then after high school, after college, wait, bro. What? Put me on. 4.7. Yes, 4.7. Oh! Nah, that's crazy. Alright, so yo, shout out my boy Ray. Shout out my boy Ray. He was in the stream earlier. But I'm a firm believer in numerology and the meanings behind certain numbers. And there was a number that was explained to me in terms of numerology by my boy Ray, the number 47. And it basically just represents, here, let's look it up, right? But it basically just represents that, you know, you're going in the correct path in life, right? And it's actually crazy because Jay just pointed that out. And that's crazy. That was my first profitable trade of the day. It says in numerology, 47 is a powerful symbol of hard work, spiritual awakening, and divine guidance. It combines the diligent foundation of number 4 with the intuitive spiritual energy of 7. It says, boom, key interpretations of 47, right? Career and competence. In numerology readings, the number 47 often points to a long period of quiet, dedicated work that is finally being recognized. It is all, that's actually crazy. It says that is finally being recognized. It is often associated with career leaps, leadership, and success that stems from perseverance rather than luck. It says seeing 47 repeatedly. I didn't see it repeatedly, but you know, it's crazy that it was that just because of the conversation and explanation of the number that I got the other day. It says also serves as a reminder to balance your practical, material efforts with your spiritual growth and inner wisdom. It says, amazing time. You were in it exactly at 9:47. No way. 9:47 and 32 seconds. That's crazy. All right. So yeah, right? That was my first profitable trade of the day. $47. And it was on gold. And okay, so at this point in time, I'm seeing, okay, price is, you know what? I'm gonna have to shrink this because I also want to show you guys, like, actually on the chart, like exactly where I was getting in and out. So I'm gonna have to shrink this for a little, but we're gonna take it trade by trade, and we're gonna work it out. All right, so we're in gold right now. We're gonna go to the 5-minute. Man, this was insane. Right here on the setup, and I literally set this chart up this morning on stream. It was lagging and going in and out, so it may not have been a good representation of the setup, but we're gonna break it down, right? So I was actually scalping at this time, right? I was on the 1-minute time frame, and yes, here we are. So, boom, this was crazy. Do y'all see this movement, right? Can y'all believe I caught opportunities on both the upside and the downside, and then the continuation on the downside? Like, bruh, I woke up this morning and I don't know if y'all seen like the title of the first live, but it was, why did losing $800 overnight feel so refreshing? that was my first attempt at like the clickbait title that some people be having, but there was actually a lot of truth in that, right? There was actually a lot of truth in that, because I woke up this morning and I could have chosen not to trade, right? I I could have got in my feelings, got in my head, got in my mind, and just been like, yeah, like today's not gonna be a good day. Like I'm cool. But I woke up this morning, and literally the first thing I did was reflect. Right? I'm like, well, that's not the first thing I did. The first thing I did is take my girl to work. That's like a part of my routine every day. I hate to see her go, but I love to see her walk away, right? But it also shifts my mind because it lets me know, okay, like she's stepping into that mode. It's time for me when I get home to do what I got to do, right? Like we both work, she's working, I'm working, and this is my day off. So it's not like I'm not working at all. I'm not saying that, but in terms of how my day started today, right? I dropped her off at work. I'm like, all right, like, let's get it. How do I capitalize off of the bullshit that I was doing last night and like very early this morning? And, I'm just thinking to myself, like, what really went wrong? And it was really just my mind about it, right? My mind about me as a trader. I lost all the money I did last night and this morning thinking that the market was going to do what I wanted it to do, instead of trading what the market is doing, right? And what it's showing me. So, to begin here, how's the audio? How's the video? I see we got someone on Facebook there. What's going on? Say what's up in the chat. Ask questions. Someone on Twitch as well. Ask questions. That's probably Jay. I know you probably don't got any questions. Just let me know. Let me know if anything's going wrong. We are great. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I would love to know who we got on Facebook. I know that's probably my OG. What's going on, girl? But if it's not, what's going on? Good to see you. And get your notebook out, right? This is what we got going on at the moment. Alright, so first profitable trade, 9:47 a.m. Alright, let's look for that. Where we at? Boom. So 9:47, right? At this time, what am I seeing? At this time, I'm like, okay, boom, right? My setup is a setup for how do you get into how do you get into a trade? All right, we gonna go over that, broski. I'm gonna go over. Oh, you know what? Let me do this, right? Let's restart. How about that? I'll answer your question. Brother. I'm gonna show you. All right. So, what is a good place? All right, here we go. Boom. And then we're gonna clear the chart here. And we'll go 5 minute. Yep, it was 5 minute. So boom, I came onto the charts this morning. I came on, it was probably about hold on. All right. So boom. All right. So I was on stream earlier this morning, and I was going through like some technical difficulties, and I was trying to look to get into a trade. Let's go to the 1 minute here. It was like 9:28 or 9:29. So yeah, like right around this area right here is where price was. So here, let me select bar, right? Boom. So but I'm on the 5 minute. So what do I see here, right? I see price swiping liquidity here, right? So what does that mean? Well, let's take a step even further back, right? On the larger time frame, which would be the 4-hour time frame for me, right? What am I seeing? I'm seeing price in a bearish or downtrending environment. So that's the first thing I do, right? The first thing I do is see what is actually going on. So we're here. That's actually a first bad point. All right, so we're here, right? Boom, and then we come here, and then we make an equal high, and then we make a lower low, and then we come up right here, make a lower high, and then here we are again, a lower low, right? So what is that? That is a downtrend. That is a downtrend. So now that we can see price is in a downtrending slope, what do we do next? Next, we zoom in, right? We get a closer look, right? So what the 4-hour time frame means is within one of these candles, right? Within one of these candles, and basically what the candle is just showing where the gold is priced at. So this is the price on the right side, this bar here. This is showing where gold is priced at a specific time here at the bottom. You guys can see it right below this cursor here. Hold on. Let me minimize. Oh, that's maximize. All right, let me close that, and then we close. Oh, I put it up top. Oh, that's different. Wait, I don't think I like that. Hold on. All right, there we go. Minimize, and then we'll take the volume off, right? So that way you guys can see, right? So basically this is what a chart shows, right? A chart shows what a specific element or instrument you are trading, which for me is micro gold futures. And one candle, what it shows is, so for example, this red candle is a bearish candle, or basically it shows where micro gold futures started at this price, which is on the right of this cursor over here, which is 4490.7. So that's where this candle started, right? That's where at what time? 6 a.m. So at the bottom, if you guys can see that little Friday shows the date and the time, right? So at 6 a.m. is when this candle started. That's when it started to form. So it started to form at 6 a.m. and when it started to form at 6 a.m., it was at this specific price. So basically at 4491.2, a new candle opened at 6 a.m. And what happened? The price of this instrument or this element that I'm trading, it went down. So the price of it, the value of it went down in price, right? So it went down from 49.91 all the way down to 43.90. So what is that? So that's almost 100 points. That's a 100-point move. So it went down $100 or 100 points, right? You don't want to say dollars because different instruments have different decimal points and what it's worth. So you would just say, you would call it points, right? So it went down in 100 points, and that was all in a 4-hour time frame, right? So this candle represents 4 hours, and the way to know that is when I go over to the next one at the bottom, what does it say? it says Friday, the same day, but at 10 a.m. So it's now 10 a.m. and this new candle is forming, and it will continue to form and basically show what happened to price during this time frame until the new candle starts, right? And because I'm on the 4-hour time frame, it happens every 4 hours. A new candle only happens every 4 hours. Okay? So understanding that, I look at the bigger time frame, which would in my case be the 4-hour time frame. And I basically want to see if like what trend we're in, right? So we're creating lower lows and lower highs. So typically here, let me bring this back, right? Yeah, there we go. So boom, here, and then here. Then we come up here, like about here, and then here again, right? So we're downtrending. So this is the 4-hour time frame. So on the bigger time frame, whatever time frame that is for you, it really just depends on how fast you want to be in and out of a trade. But for the markets that I trade, futures, you typically want to be a day trader. There are swing traders and people who hold trades for days and weeks at a time. But you really can't do that with futures because there's a 1-hour break in the futures market every day where it basically closes all positions for any trader trading futures just to give the markets clear reset and do some type of maintenance, and then the new trading day starts at 6 p.m. So for example, today's trading day will end at 4:10ish. Yeah, 4:10ish. And the new trading day would start today still at 6 p.m. So, okay, with that being said, right, we looked at the bigger time frame. We seen that it is in a downtrend. And now we need to go to the smaller time frame, right? And what is that doing? That's basically breaking down the candles we were just looking at, right? So we were just looking at the 4-hour time frame, right? So each candle represented 4 hours. So now I'm on the 15-minute time frame. So what that would mean is that each candle represents 15 minutes. Okay? So if I go to this large purple candle here and you look at the bottom, it says 1:30 a.m. And if I go to the next candle, what do you see? 1:45 a.m. Right? A 15-minute interval. So 15 minutes for each candle. So we go on the larger time frame to look at the overall trend, right? To see what our bias should be. Then we go to the smaller time frame to see about marking up our charts for a position, right? So the position that I ended up getting on this market wasn't on the usual time frame that I mark my charts up on. It was on the 5-minute. So I usually don't use the 5-minute to mark up my charts because I need to, because okay, so basically with my strategy, right, I need to mark up my chart on a bigger time frame so I can see what zones I need to have interest in, and then the next smaller time frame will help me with my entry model, right? It helps give me confirmation that things are going the way I need them to for me to even get in a trade in the first place. So that's what these time frames are for. So I only have 4 because I only look at these 4 if I want to get into a position. So for example, for today, my usual time frame that I look for positions on to mark my charts up is the 15-minute. But I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything too obvious on the 15 minute as far as the candles, right? But what do I see? I see that we have some wicks here that seem to be sweeping liquidity before we get a big red candle move to the downside. So I was like, okay, let me see what this is about, right? Because obviously there's some type of selling pressure that caused price to break structure here, right? To break out below this previous low. So what I did was zoom in. I need to see a better picture, right? And what zooming in does is break down the intervals between each candle. So what was now a 15-minute candle is now 3 5-minute candles. Okay? That's the intervals. So I needed to zoom in to get a better idea of what was going on. So at this time, it's about like 9:28 or so. I can't skip to the next candle because then that will... Oh, well, I actually can because I didn't get into my first trade until 9:47, right? So let's break this down. So around this time, I'm looking at the market and I'm noticing this, right? So what do I do first? I notice that although price was short-term bullish, right? And the short term was on an uptrend, I know my 4-hour is a downtrend, right? So this uptrend isn't really, something I'm interested in. It's just something I'm taking note of, right? Why? Because I know that this bullish trend or this uptrend is just a temporary pullback for the overall trend move, right? Because in a trend, there needs to be pullbacks and continuations, right? There needs to be people who stop it from just going straight completely in one direction. So I know that this uptrend is that. But then what happens? Price gets to its absolute highest point before crashing below this previous higher low, right? So I need to take note of that. What I also need to take note of, so this will be the next thing I do, right? I need to take note of the level or area where structure was broken. Or not structure was broken, where there was a breakout, right? Or you could call it breaking structure too, but a lot of people use different terms. And I don't really want to confuse anyone or make things too technical. So just try to understand the concept of what I'm saying rather than the exact terms, because what may be a term for me may not be a term for the next person, right? But basically the next thing I would do is mark out this line here, and this would be my breakout level, right? My breakout zone. So okay, we're going to take this nice and slow, right? So we got the liquidity sweep, right? We got the point in time where price was at its highest point before a drastic move to the downside. And what's significant about this drastic move to the downside, right, is that it broke the higher low that was previous to it, that was a part of the uptrend, right? So basically, for my people who know what ICC is, this is the indication, right? This is the signal to let us know that price may be reversing, right? So I'm literally gonna teach you guys how to spot the reversal in the trend, right? Because although this is a bullish trend or an uptrend, we know that the overall trend in the market is a downtrend, right? So we're looking for this thing to reverse, and this is the first step to notifying it, right? To noticing it, right? So mark out the absolute highest point of where structure was broken. Now, mark where structure was broken and basically take note of that entire zone, right? And this would be the breakout structure range, right? So why does this range or zone matter, right? It matters because we know that somewhere in this zone there was enough sellers and enough pressure and momentum for price to get pushed back down, right? So, and why is it this zone specifically? Because this is the absolute highest point before price broke structure, and then this was the absolute lowest point that caused the break of structure. Okay, so first, mark the highest point that sweeps the orders that were previously here, right? Because, so, okay, why is this relevant, right? Because there are people who are basically trying to ride this uptrend here, right? So they're trying to ride this uptrend, and they may have seen that price was gonna break out here and continue going up, right? So what some people do is they place orders here to say that if price gets to this point, I want to get into a trade to say that it's going to continue going up, right? Or another thing that people do is they see that this red candle came up, right, after this purple one. Well, what for other people would be green, right? So what some people do is they'll see it going up and they'll see one red candle and they'll say, oh, it's going to start going down now, right? So they'll see it going down and they'll put an order here at the top of this candle to say, hey, if price comes back to this point, get me out of the trade, right? So basically the orders that are sitting at the top of this level or in this zone is what the liquidity is, right? And what does that mean, right? So the orders that are sitting here, so for example, people see that price is going down and they're like, okay, I'm gonna put my stop loss here, right? So what your stop loss is an order that says, hey, if price comes here, get me out of the trade, because I don't want to lose any more money than if price comes up to here, right? So they'll place the order here and they'll be like, oh, price is going down, like, yes, it's doing exactly what I thought it would, whatever. But then what happens, right? Price shoots all the way back up, and then you see that these wicks here show that price went all the way up here before getting pushed down. So anybody who had orders sitting here, those orders got stopped out or executed, right? And here's what I mean by stopped out or executed, right? Because there's people that see this uptrend going up and they'll put an order right at this point and say, hey, when price comes back to here, I want to ride this trend going up. I want to say that price is going to go up, right? So boom, that's one type of order that could be sitting here. Now, another type of order that could be sitting here is one that says, hey, if price comes back to this level, get me out of the trade, right? So a person would do that if they were saying that the value of the instrument was going to go down, which in this case, it did go down for a short amount of time. So those are the type of orders that would be sitting in this area, right? And that is why price came back to this area, right? So let's break that down just a little bit more to get a better understanding, right? So like what any market does, like understand that a market is literally like an auction, or literally like you speaking to a real estate agent or someone selling, I don't know, like water bottles, right? So if this water bottle is priced at $10, right? So for example, let's compare this water bottle priced at $10 to micro gold futures priced at 4,368, right? So let's say this is the chart. if this water bottle, Micro Gold Futures, is priced at $10, $4,368, right? If it's priced at this point and no one wants to buy it at this price, what do I have to do to be able to sell it? If no one wants to buy it at this price, I need to lower the price, right? And once I lower the price and I sell all of the water bottles I have, right? So if I'm lowering the price of my water bottle, that means so are my competitors, right? That means at least if I'm lowering it down, that means I'm lowering it down to match my competitors, or to match, the other people who are selling water bottles and getting the sales, right? I wanna sell it for what they're selling, because maybe I can get some business going if I drop it down to that price, right? So basically, they need to drop the price down to a point where people are interested in buying it again. So if I drop the price of this water bottle down to $5 instead of $10, there's going to be 100% more people interested in buying a $5 water bottle rather than a $10 water bottle, right? So for example, in the chart, price is at this point, Micro Gold Futures is at $4,068, right? This water bottle is priced at $4,068. No one wants to buy it anymore, right? So what has to happen? The price has to come down so that people want to buy it again, right? So once people are done buying, once I'm done selling all of my water bottles, that means I don't have any more water bottles to give anyone, right? I'm the supplier. So because the supplier doesn't have any more water bottles, or because the place where water bottles are coming from is no more, what happens? The demand for water bottle goes up, right? Because there's no more places to buy water, water now becomes more valuable. So because I am trying to buy water and there's nowhere to buy it, that means whoever does have it, you're willing to pay top dollar. It don't matter what it is, there's no water. You want to buy it, right? So same with this Micro Gold Futures, right? So it's at 4,368, right? No one wants to buy it at this point. So what happens? The market needs to drop in price so that it can now be more appetizing for people to push it back up. And that is literally what the market is made of, right? It's made of the price adjusting itself so that market conditions can be met for people to continue to trade. That was crazy. If you're watching right now, I hope you were listening from the beginning on that explanation, because that might have helped you just get a better understanding of what trading actually is, right? It's just in more fancy terms, and they put it in a platform, and there's a lot of other things to learn about it, but from a basis standpoint, that's what trading is. That's what you're looking at when it comes to the chart, right? So boom, to get into a trade, what am I looking for? I'm looking for price to come up to a very high point and fulfill the orders that are sitting at the previous point of interest, and then cause a very significant move to the downside, which also breaks another point of interest, right? Because there are other orders sitting here. So if it breaks through this level here, what does that mean? That means the buyers, or the people that were here to make price go back up, are no longer here anymore, right? So that's why we were even able to come and push down here in the first place. There are no more buyers here. So now price is going to drop down, or this water bottle, the person selling this water bottle is going to drop their prices down until they find a price point where people want to buy it again. Are y'all hearing me? Are y'all hearing me? So, with that being said, right? What am I looking at in this market? I see price come to an absolute highest point, fulfill the orders here, and then have a big move to the downside to swipe out the orders here too, right? To break the structure. That's just a different term for the similar type of thing that came here, but they're different in a sense. So bear with me, right? So what do we see? The liquidity sweep. We see the huge move to the downside that led to the break of structure. These things are in sequential order, right? We don't care about the setup that has a break of structure unless it has a liquidity sweep before it. We don't care about a liquidity sweep unless there is a significant move to either the upside or the downside that led to a break of structure. If we don't have that sequence of things, you have no setup. Well, for me, in terms of my strategy, right? This is not financial advice. I don't need nobody suing me. Don't go tell the police or anyone that I told you what to do, that this is an absolute winning plan, right? Because as you can see, I take losses. I take losses. So I'm not trying to sit up here and tell y'all that what I do is gonna 100% make y'all money, right? So, boom. What's next? I need to continue to let price do what it's doing here, right? Because I need to see where the next place the buyers are gonna step in to push price up, right? Where is that pullback gonna happen? Where is that correction gonna happen, right? For my ICCers, where is that correction gonna happen, right? So let's skip this ahead a little bit. Oh, let's go back. Ooh, let's go back. This morning was crazy, y'all. If I was able to get this on stream, it would have been insane. But it still happened, which is still insane. But I'm like managing on the. Oh, you need the charger? Oh yeah, you valid. Shout out to my brother Jay. He's here dropping in-person lesson till we get off a stream here. I'm probably gonna close stream around 3:30. I gotta go to the gym, man. I need to start being consistent in the gym. And I think today is gonna be the day I do so. If it isn't, sometime this week. I do start work tomorrow. So I don't know. But I need to. I need to. All right, so what am I looking at? Let me get this trade over with, right? What time is it? So over here on the right, this is my trade log for the day, right? So my first trade, my first entry time of the day. Well, not my first, but my first profitable trade. Because if you were listening a couple minutes or maybe even earlier on the first stream before I had problems, I started the day down about $800, and that's was just undisciplined trading outside of my strategy, and just doing what I know I shouldn't be doing anyway, right? But thankfully today, I was able to have a clear mind, come to the market, and turn the whole day around and end up in profit, right? I actually have one of my best profit days within the last 2 weeks. So that was nice. Let's see. Let's go back to the trade log, right? So, boom. What do we see? June 9th, which is today, 9:47 a.m. What time is it here on this chart? This is the 5-minute chart. So let's go one more candle. So what is this? 9:35. When did I get in here? At 9:47. So boom. Let's go to the next one. What is this? 9:40. So one more will be 9:45. Is this 9:45? Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? Doesn't this look unreal? Let me show you guys another thing too, right? Another thing that's a part of my strategy is volume, right? So the word volume is a term for like depth, right? The amount of something. So in trading, volume is really important, right? Why is that? It shows, like it literally shows the amount of trades or contracts that were exchanged or put into the market for that time frame. So using volume, right? You see this green bar here? This green bar is in conjunction with this purple candle, right? So same thing with the bars and candles before it. They all match up and they represent the volume for each candle. So the volume number is over here on the right in the green or red, right? And this is the amount of contracts or the amount of trades that took place during this time frame. 8,004. Let me repeat that. 8,004 trades or contracts that were in this 5-minute interval. Right? So what about the one before it? If you guys can see at the top here, it'll show the number once I hover over the candle. So if I hover over this candle, the volume in this candle was only 2009, right? So what happened in a span of 5 minutes? We had 6,000 more contracts get put into the market in a span of 5 minutes, right? And what did that do to the candle? What did that do to the display of price for that specific time frame? It shot all the way up, right? So we're gonna go to the 1 minute time frame now, because this is exactly what I did, right? But hold on, let me take this back, right? We're gonna finish my setup here, because originally this is what I was looking for. So we're gonna tell you what I was looking for, what I did, and then what ended up happening overall. So boom, what I was saying before, we needed the absolute highest point in price to lead to a break of structure. And now we need to wait for the next area we see buyers step into the market to push price up, which is right here, right? We can say that this is the start to a pullback. So next in my strategy, we need to mark this range, right? So this range would be the absolute highest point before price broke structure, and then the absolute lowest point before price started the pullback, right? So this would give us what I was calling before the premium and discount range. Stick with me. Stick with me. It may seem like a lot of steps, but if you guys continue to tune in, this is literally the trade that I get in, the setup that I get into every single day. So it's going to get drilled into your head like clockwork. And I'm going to do my best to explain each step and why each step is relevant and why each step matters, right? So we mark this zone as the premium and discount, right? Why is that? Because I know on the higher time frame, we're on a downtrend, right? So my bias is downtrend or bearish. So when I look for my position, my bias should be the same, right? I should be looking for a short or a sell. I should be looking for the market to go down. So I want to look for a trade in an area that I can anticipate sellers or people to push price down. And where would that be, right? That would be in the upper 50 percentile range of this zone, right? Of this movement. So why does that matter, right? Because everything up in this range shows us that price wanted to come down. Any pivot in price was a move to the downside, right? So price was coming up, which started below the 50 minute 50 percentile range. Sorry. It started below the 50 percentile range, right? And it went up, and above that 50 percentile range, what did it do? Sellers stepped in and pushed price down. We get below that range, what happened? Buyers step in. We push price up again. We get a little consolidation here, couple wicks that, show price coming up this high. But what do these white wicks also mean? That there's selling pressure, right? That price wanted to go up here, but it didn't have enough volume to withhold these price points. So it got pushed back down. So boom, where is that happening though? In this upper 50 percentile range, right? So what does that mean? The next time we want to, or the time we want to get into this trade is at a time where in history price got pushed down by sellers that stepped into the market. So when we get into this trade, we want it to be within this 50 percentile range, but then also within the break of structure range that we mapped out, right? Which it is. So that's what we would be waiting for. That's what I would be waiting for in terms of my strategy. And right now, that's what we're waiting for. Now that we checked off all of our boxes, we need price to get back into the upper 50 percentile range. And then, so boom. Right now, what time is it? 9:39, right? So I didn't get into my trade, my first profitable trade, until 9:47. Excuse me. So we're gonna skip a little. And what do we see here, right? So 42, 9:43. Boom. 9:46. Right? So boom. What am I seeing right here, right? So this is not for beginners. And I say this for as humble as possible, right? Because like basically what I seen and what I did is something that I seen over a long period of time. So this is not my first time seeing this setup. This is not my first time seeing this type of action, right? So what do I see here within the setup I already have? Because I'm on the 1 minute time frame, right? So I set up my chart on the 5 minute, but then I need to zoom in or get a better look to look for my entry model, right? So there's the charting, marking up the chart, and then you need to zoom in to actually enter and get confirmation on your entry, right? So originally this morning, I was looking for price to come back into this zone, right? But then what do I see down here, right? I see price come down, sweep liquidity, right? And then lead to a break of structure, but to the opposite side, to the upside, right? So I actually got into a trade, 947? This is 946, right? So I'm going to put the next candle up, and this is when I got into the trade. Oh my goodness, right? So I got into this trade at 9:47 a.m. I got in with one contract at first, right? So 9:47 and 32 milliseconds is when I got in, right? So I got in with one contract. I'm like, yo, this thing needs to come back into this zone some way, somehow, right? And you know what? Let me bring it back even further. Right? So I'm at this point. I'm not in the trade yet, and I see what's going on. This candle closes, right? So the 946 candle closes. It closes above all of these highs, right? So we had the liquidity sweep below, and then we had the break of structure above all of these highs. That is literally my setup in the opposite direction, right? So what I did was, once I seen this candle close, within the next minute, because this is 946, and over here it says my trade was at 947, right? So within the next minute, I got into this trade, right? Because this confirmed to me that price wants to go up, right? And I'm already anticipating it to come back into this zone before coming down. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get into, it was a risky buy. I'm not gonna lie, right? Because my overall bias is to sell, right? My overall bias is that this is a downtrend. So what I did was I made a trade against the trend. So this candle closes, right? It's 946. The next minute comes, and at 947, I add one contract, right? So boom. Next minute comes. Let's put the next minute up there. Oh, I spoiled it, right? That's crazy. Hold on. Right? So boom. It's 9:47 now with this candle. This candle at some point, you know what? I'm not even going to say at some point. I can show you exactly where I got in. Hold on. So entry price, right? Entry price was 4,363.8. So I'm gonna get a line right here. Boom, for a long. And what was it? 4,363.8. Boom. Right? So I put this box here, and the middle of this box shows where I got into the trade. This shows where I got in, right? So we're gonna close this here. So the bottom of this box shows where I got in, right? Now, hold on. Now, boom. What do you see next in my trade log, right? You see at 9:48. Hold on. That's the exit time, right? So let's go back. So entry is 9:47 and 32 milliseconds, right? So I see that at 9:47 this candle appears, right? What do I also see? I see volume kicking into the market. At literally in a 1 minute time frame, we had 1,019 contracts traded, right? And it was all to the upside, or to buy, right? So we had all these buyers step into the market in 1 minute, 1,119 contracts, right? So I'm already into the trade at this point. I have one contract in, but I see that price is going all the way up, and I see that the volume is there. So literally within the same minute, so if I enter that first with one contract at 9:47 and 32 milliseconds, right? I saw what happened, and literally in the same second, So 9:47 and 51 milliseconds, right? So 19 milliseconds passes before I go ahead and add 5 more contracts, right? So what does that do? What does that do, right? So I added 1 contract at this point in time, right? And for this instrument, right? For this instrument, if price was to go up from the point I entered, right? So the point that I entered is the gray line within this box here, right? This little box. So the gray line within this little box is where I would have entered, which was 4,363.8. Boom, right? So this is where I got in. So with 1 contract, right? So with 1 contract and a what? 64.8 would be right here. Boom. Right? So boom. If you guys can see, hold on. Okay. Where are we? Boom. So if I got into the trade right here with 1 contract, bro, this shit keeps trying to connect to my phone, but I don't even have it set up that way anymore.
What's the sound?
That's what that sound is. It's like the notification showing that it's trying to connect to the MacBook.
Oh, does it sound like somebody makes a text in the chat?
Nah. Alright. But okay, basically, right? So if I entered at this point and price went up by 1 point, right? So this shows a 1 point move. So from this gray line to this blue box, right? The top of this purple area, that's 1 point, right? And if I have 1 contract, that's equal to a $10 move, right? So that's equal to a $10 move if I have 1 contract. But literally in the same millisecond that I entered that trade, I added 5 more contracts, right? So I entered with 1 contract at this point, and then I entered with 5 more, and that entry was at what? 4,365.8. So boom, 65.8. 4,365.8. Yes. Boom, right? So this morning, I got into this trade right here, and price got all the way to right here before I went ahead and added 5 more contracts, right? So let me put another box there, right at the top of here. And then I didn't really have a specific stop loss because I was on the 1 minute time frame, right? I was on the 1 minute time frame, and I'm trading against my trend, right? I'm trading against what my overall setup even was in the first place. So in reality, my stop loss would be right around down here, right? But this was a trade that I really took a risk on in the first place because I know that, like, I'm anticipating price to come back into this area, right, before it starts going back down in a bigger move. So that's what my mindset is at the moment. So I know that once price started reversing, the next point we could expect price to push back down to the downside is either within this zone here, which when we got the candle closure, that already invalidated the fact that price could be pushed down from here, right? Once we had the candle closure above these highs, that showed me that the sellers that were once here are no longer here. So that clears this zone for the buyers that stepped in down here to continue to push price up until when? Until the next zone where sellers stepped in, right? So that is my anticipation. And I got into a buy knowing that price wants to continue going up until it doesn't anymore, right? And when it doesn't anymore, that's when my actual setup would come into place and I would look for a sell, okay? So let's analyze this shit, bro. So I got into the buy on the move to the upside, right? Trading against my trend at this point. This gray line. Now we moved up 20 ticks. We moved up 20 ticks, but 10 ticks is equal to 1 point, right? So people would say ticks, pips, whatever the case may be. It's 20 ticks, or in this market, a tick is the decimal point, right? So for gold, the ticks are the decimal point. So 10 decimal points equals a ones place, right? 10 1/10ths or 10 0.1s equals a ones place, right? So if I get 20 of the 0.1s, that's really 2 of the ones places, right? Or 2 points. So if we move up 20 decimal points, that's really a move up to 2 points in the ones place, right? So I got in with one contract at this time and it moved up 2 points before I entered again with 5 more contracts, right at this point. So in this initial trade right here, which happened 9:47 and 32 milliseconds, right? That trade ended up to be $47. And that was with one contract, right? So it moved up 2 points and bless you. Let me see. It moved up 2 points and that was one contract, right? How come that math doesn't add up? If I'm in one contract and a 1 point move is $10. So that means that this should really only be $20. So that means I didn't have one contract. I would have had 2. Oh, I did have 2. Cause look, 9:45. Okay, so 9:45 was the first contract. Okay, damn. So I had a contract in at 9:45. Okay. So look, watch this. I had a contract in at 9:45, right? And then what did I do? It was a short, and I seen. Okay, so perfect. All right. So I got in at 9:45. Where are we at? 9:45. 9:44, 9:45. Is this it right here? Yeah, boom. So I got in at this point, right? Because I seen price come up to this level. I seen price come up to this level and start to push down. So I automatically got into a sell right here, right? I'm like, price is hitting this support zone. Not support zone, resistance zone. And it's going to resist breaking above this high and come back down.
Like,
Well,
you reached it, or are you talking about candle closure?
well, I'm saying I got into a trade saying that it was going to continue to go down, right? But my stop loss was 4363.8 up here. So my stop loss was up here, 4363.8. Boom. And what? Let me see. Short. So where did I get in? 4353.7. 4353.7. Boom. I got in right here. my stop loss, or not even my stop loss. This is just where I got out of the trade. There we go. And then I was expecting it to, move to the downside. Damn. What was it? 53.7. So boom. Right? So I got in at this gray line right here, and I got in for a short, right? And I'm like, I'm expecting, or not expecting, right? Because you can't expect shit. You see what expecting got me, right? Damn, I'm hot as hell.
What's a short? Or you got in for a short?
I got in for a short. So if I get in for a short, that means that I'm basically buying a contract in the market that says that this market is gonna go down in value, right? So I got in for a short at this time right here, because I saw price, get pushed back down. So I got in right here, and what happened? Price came all the way up, right? And once price got to this point right here, so once price got to 4363.8, and what does that say? 4363.8. What I did was reverse my position, right? So in Top Step, there's a button that allows you to be able to do so, right? So perfect example of how my morning started, right? I got in for my first trade, right? So my first actual trade was a loss of $101, right? As you guys can see, I got in right here, and I wanted to go for a short, I got in for a short, but what happened? Price went up. So as I'm seeing price go up, damn, 53.7. So as I'm seeing price go up, I'm seeing volume go up. I'm seeing liquidity is swept. I'm seeing a candle closure above these highs, right? What are all of those things telling me? That those things are telling me that price wants to continue to go up, right? So as soon as I saw that, which was, how long was the duration of this trade? So in 2.5 minutes, all of those things happened, and I instantly got into a trade. So what? So the first trade I got into was a short, right? And price went all the way up, and I was in that trade until 9:47 and 32 milliseconds. Well, look at my trade log, right? When was the next trade entered at? Literally the same second, right? Literally the same second. Same second, same millisecond, everything. So I pressed one button and reversed my position to say that I no longer believe the value of this instrument will go down, right? I believe it will go up. So what happened, right? I reversed my position at this point. Price continued to go up, as I can see, and I see the volume, right? So as I see that price is continuing to go up, I get in for another trade. That's what this box is right here, right? I get in for another trade, and I add 5 more contracts to the trade that I was already in. Okay? So I add 5 more contracts to this trade once I got the confirmations that I needed, right? So, boom. I got in with one contract. Well, I was already in with one contract to start, right? But because I reversed it, it gave me my loss for the initial trade that I got into, but it also didn't take off this initial contract, right? So I still had one contract in the market when I reversed it, right? But upon that reversal, I added another contract. So right now, I'm 2 contracts in the market at this point in this box. And then once I got the confirmations that I needed, I added 5 more, right? As you can see in the next trade log, 5 more contracts were added. So what happened then, right? At 9:48 is when this trade was executed. 9:48, right? So what happened at that point in time? Oh, okay, wait. That was the first. Okay, so that was the initial trade. That was when I added the first 5 contracts, right? No, that was when I added the next single contract. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Yeah, that was when I added the first single contract, right? Boom. Now, that was here. Now, here is where the next trade log comes in, right? And I added 5 more contracts, right? And because I'm already in a position, it basically gave me the profit split of the first entry point between the next entry point. So that's why it gave me the $135 payout, right? Because from this trade to this trade, I'm still in the same trade, but it moved up in value, and I was already in a trade. So adding more contracts basically is a new trade, right? So that's why when you see up here, it says that I took 19 trades. It really wasn't 19 trades. That was just the amount of times a separate contract was added to either a trade that I was already in, or a setup that I already had planned, right? So although it says 19 trades, it wasn't 19 trade setups. It was just 19 different times I either added or subtracted a contract. They just added as another trade, which technically it is, right? Because you're getting into the market again. But and then what happened again on the next trade log, right? On the next trade log, I added another 5 contracts, and that was at 9:48. Okay, 9:48. Where are we at right now? This is 9:47. Man, look at this next candle. Man, do y'all see this? And I added 5 more contracts at this candle. And then what do we see with this candle too? Even more volume. 3,290 contracts added in 1 minute. Right after the candle before it, where 1,119 contracts were added, right? So we got the volume. So what am I seeing, right? I'm seeing all of these things, so I add 5 more contracts, right? And then what happens? They give me the so yeah, I added 5 more contracts, and then at 9:49 is when I got out of the trade, right? So hold on. Let me go to the next bar, right? So, oh, perfect, right? This is exactly when I got out. And I know that for sure because this was the first sign of sellers stepping into the market. So I know that there's a possibility that it shoots right back down, right? So I went ahead, secured my profits, and got out of the trade because what is happening now? What I already anticipated price to do is literally unfolding, right? So I'm seeing price go all the way up. I'm seeing it get to a point where sellers are stepping into the market, right? So my bias went from long. So this was a long or a buy, right? Me saying price is going to go up. My bias went from long, excuse me. My bias went from long to short, right? Short, 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 short. Why is that? Today was a beautiful day. I wish I could have got it on stream, but I got the breakdown on stream, and whoever is here watching, I hope you are understanding and seeing this in real time as I'm learning, as I'm taking things day by day. Right? So price goes up. I see the first sign of selling pressure, right? So now I know that there's a possibility that price shoots right back down, right? Why is that? Because it not only swept the liquidity here, it also went ahead and swept out all the orders that could be possibly sitting here too, right? So we went ahead, went up, got to another point where sellers could possibly be, and then what happened, right? So what happened? What is going on in my mind, right? So at this point, at what, 9:49, that's when I exited the long trade that I was in, or the buy trade that I was in, or the trade that I said the value of micro gold futures was going to go up, right? At that time, 949 is when I got out of that trade. And look, this candle right here, if you look at the bottom, has a timestamp of 949. Okay, so I see this and I get out of the trade. So now I'm watching, right? And I'm on the 1 minute time frame, and I see, I see what's going on. So what is my next entry time? So I got out at 9:48. My next entry time is 9:50, right? So let's go to 9:50, right? So what is it right now? 9:49. So literally within the next minute, what do I do? And why do I do it, right? Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. So literally within the next minute, right, I see a candle closure below this previous low, right? And the candle closure below this low is telling me that there is significant selling pressure, right? And what does it also tell me? It tells me that at a place where buyers in history stepped in to push price up, there's no longer that buying pressure. There's no longer those buyers there to push price up. And why do we know that? Because we had this candle close below it. Okay, so we had the candle close below it, right? And I'm seeing this, and what do I also see? Volume. Okay, I'm seeing volume on the right hand side. How many contracts or how many trades happen in a matter of 1 minute in this candle? 1,820 contracts or trades were executed in this 1 minute candle. What does that mean, right? It means that primarily there is selling pressure within these candles, right? So at 9:50, boom, my next timestamp of my entry for my next trade, 9:50. At this very point right here, what do? I get in for a short, right? I get in for a short, and I get in with 5 contracts, right? Boom, I get in with 5 contracts. Now I get out of that trade within the next couple milliseconds, actually, and then basically get into another trade for another short, and I exited out of there. So that first one was 50. The next one after was 55, right? So let's go to the next one. You guys can't see in real time what happened, but the candle literally shows it, right? So the first trade that I made that next minute after was $50, and it was a short. So I got in at this point. It got down here. I sold, right? Once I sold, I bought again, but then price went back up, right? So me seeing it go up, I sold again and ended up taking a $55 loss, right? And then the same thing happens within what? Same thing happens within the next couple milliseconds, right? Boom. So I got out of the trade that I got into at this point because I thought it was going to continue going down, right? I got into a trade here. It went up. I sold again. So now we're here and I see price coming back down. What do I do again in my trade log, right? And boom, what time is it? 9:52. What time is it here on my thing? So the next minute, right? So the next minute, what do I see? Price coming down. Within that time, 9:52, I add 5 contracts, right? I add 5 contracts and I go in for a short, or basically showing I believe price is going to continue going down. So that was for what? Boom, 5 contracts, right? And then literally a couple milliseconds after that, I go ahead and press sell, right? And it gives me the 195, right? So what? Boom, there we are. So I come down, I get to this point, I sell, right? I get the 195. What am I seeing? What am I seeing now, right? I'm seeing price continue to go down. So this next trade here is 1 contract, right? in my mind at this time, I'm like, yo, like a lot just happened. I just made a lot of money so quick. I got to size down, right? I'm going to go with one contract this time, see what price is doing, ease my mind a little bit, ease my emotions, and see like what's going on, right? So I get in with one contract at this very point in time, right? And price comes down a little bit here, and then it starts to come back up, right? But before it goes back up too far, I ended up selling again, and I only ended up getting the $14 profit here, right? But then what happens, right? So I got out of that trade. I think it was what, 10:08 a.m. So where are we right now? Wait a minute. I did that timeline wrong. Yeah, I did that timeline wrong, because where are we? This candle says 9:53. So where was I at 9:53? At 9:52, I just entered with 5 contracts at 4361.1. So where is that here? 4361.1. So yeah, I entered right around here, right? At 9:52. 9:52.59. So that's literally right here, 9:53 basically, right? So I enter in with 5 contracts right here, and then I go in with another 5 contracts at 9:54, right? So this is 9:53. Let me go to the next one. Boom. What happens? Price comes down. So I'm already in with 5 contracts at this point. Price is continuing going down. So what do I do now? I went ahead and added another 5 contracts, right? So from this point to this point down here is what gave me the $25 profit. I mean, no, not the $25 profit. I believe it was, because what is this? 55. And when did I exit this one? At 58. So yeah, it was the $25 profit from this point to this point, right? But that was because I added contracts. I didn't completely sell the position that I was in. I only added contracts, right? So me completely selling the position I was in was at 9:58, right? So where are we? 9:55. We're gonna go 3 candles. 1, 2, 3. What is that? 9:58. So yeah. So I was down here, and then where are we? I seen price come down, but then it came back up, right? So as I see prices back where I entered the 5 contracts, I sold it. I said, hey, let me take the profit before price, goes back up, because it could, and secure my profits, right? So that's what gave me the 195 here. And then what happened again? I got in with 1 contract. Okay, that's where I messed up on the time frame. Yeah. All right, perfect, right? Because I'm seeing price consolidate, go up a little bit, do its thing here. I don't get in for another trade until, when is the entry time? 10:05. So where are we at? We're at 10:02 right now. So 1, 2, 3. So boom, I see price approaching below these lows here, and it's 10:05. So yeah, 10:05 is my next trade with 1 contract, right? And that 1 contract was for a short. So I got in at this point saying that price was going to continue going down. Why? Right? What do I see? Again, price get to an absolute highest point. Swept liquidity, break of structure, right? And then it goes up, sweeps a little bit more from this candle here. So I'm like, okay, this gives me sufficient excuse me. This gives me sufficient data to show me that, okay, it should continue going down, right? So I got in with 1 contract, and I'm like, hey, let me lower my risk here. I just got finished with all this crazy movement. Let me slow my roll, ease my emotions, right? So I went ahead, got in with 1 contract, and I got in at 4354.2. So 4354.2. So boom, I got in right around here. Yeah, right around here-ish. And then I got in at 43.52.8. So 52.8. So not too much of a move, right? I only caught this little move right here, and it was for $14, right? Boom, $14. Now, the next trade I took was at 10:14 a.m., right? So where are we? 10:05. So 9 minutes later, we're going to click this slowly, okay? And I want you guys to see what I'm seeing at the moment as we're on this 1 minute time frame here. 10:14 is the time my next trade took place. Where are we? 10:12. Two more. Was that 14? Nope, that's 13. Beautiful. All right. Where are we at? 10:14. Is this 10:14? Yes. So 10:14, and I entered at 43.45.7 for a short. Okay, same price is gonna go down. So boom, short. It was what entry price? 43.45.7. Boom, here. So I got in at this gray line right here, okay, and then I ended up getting out at 43.34.8. So let's see, 43.34.8. So this was a what? This was a 10-point move, right? This was a 10.9 move. So 109 decimal points, but 10.9 regular ones place points, right? So if I get in with 3 contracts at this point and I sold when price moved 10 points, let's go to this next candle here. When did I get out? I got out at 10:20. So what time is this right now? This is 10:15. So 4, 5. Okay. Yes, that is exactly what happened, right? So I'm seeing. Okay, so here's what went on, right? So from my last trade that took place up here, I didn't really get much of a good return. This one was about $14 in this trade I took here, right? So I took that small profit. I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more information, right? Because what is happening? Price is going in the direction my setup intended, right? What my bias was. So I see that we're going through a little consolidation here in this area. So I got out of the trade, right? And waited for what? Another very high point to occur, right? That sweeps liquidity or sweeps orders that are here. And then what happens right after that? A move to the downside. Not only just a move to the downside, a move to the downside that breaks structure, right? So it broke structure. I'm seeing this go on. I get in at about here and I get in for a short. And I say, okay, I'm going to wait for the next time I see buyers step into the market, right? And I don't mean just any type of buyer stepping into the market, right? Because I could have seen a candle like this, or even a small one like this, or one like this, right? But why I got out of this trade at this point right here is because this candle fully engulfed the candle previous to it, right? So that is showing me that the buying pressure in this candle could have potentially been bigger than the selling pressure that was in this candle. Although the volume shows me that it isn't, right? I still got out just in case it shoots up and then volume picks up as it goes up, right? So I got out right here just to be safe and secure my profits, which led to a $327 profit, right? And then what ends up happening again a couple minutes later? So, oh, not even a couple minutes later. Okay, so what I ended up doing, right? So at 10:14, I got in around here, right? And then at 10:16, I added 3 contracts. So because I got the confirmations I needed, I went ahead and added 3 contracts at 10:16 with the entry price of 4340.6. So boom, 4340.6. Short 4340.6. Boom. So I got in here at first and price continued moving down. So I added 3 more contracts and then price continued going down. And as soon as I seen the first sign of buying pressure, I exited right around here. Right around there, right? Because I got in here to begin with. I added 3 contracts here, and then I closed all the contracts I had at the same time, and then that led to the 327 once I added the contracts, and then the 174 once I closed all the contracts at this point. Okay, so that was literally every trade that I took today. Okay, and why I took it and the reasons behind it. Okay, and it actually ended up being an even better day than I already thought it was going to be, even before this was a green day, right? I already had intentions it was going to be a great day when I was down $800 to begin, before even getting on stream, right? So, being able to have that mentality that I did really led to the greatness that took place. And very honestly and truly, I can say that I was humbled and blessed in the same day. Well, shit, I'm humbled and blessed every day. But today was a trading representation of it. I don't know who was watching here on Twitch this whole time. Might have been Jay.
I'm not sure, but the short isn't. It's the direction you think it's going. Because you said that on it being bullish, like initially when you opted out from, like you did the reversal. You said you pressed the button, right? And
yes.
It did a reversal, and then you.
That was around here.
Before you took the 5.
Yup.
But when it went to its down cycle and bearish.
Yup.
You didn't say you pressed that button. You said you had to close that contract.
Close it.
And
yeah.
Why is that? Why couldn't you do what you did before?
And reverse it?
Yeah.
And reverse it? So, okay. So, let's go back to that, right? So our last longing trade was 40. So, okay. So, his question was, when I reversed the initial trade I got into, so right around here, I got into a short to anticipate price moving down right around here. But then price went up and got to about here before I reversed the position. So I was still in the same trade. It's just now I am saying that price is going to go up instead of it going down like I was initially. So right around here, I reversed it. And what he was asking me was, how come I didn't reverse it up here when I started taking the shorts instead of closing trades out and then catching them like I did right after my last long, which was right around here, right? So this was when I would have started taking the shorts right around this area here. He asked me how come I didn't reverse it instead of doing what I did by selling and just coming back, right? So the reason why is because I seen price was on the...
Before you explain it, is that an option?
Yes.
Okay.
You can reverse it at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, you can reverse it at any time. He said before I explain, was reversing it again even an option? And yeah, you can reverse it as many times as you want. But he asked me how come I didn't reverse it up here on the reverse to the downside like I did here, right? It's because these were two different trades, right? So up here, I was already in a trade, and I was just waiting for this specific type of candle or some selling pressure to be shown before getting out. But the difference here was I was already in a sell, anticipating price to come down, right? But instead it went up, and as it was going up, I was noticing the signs here, liquidity being swept here, the break of structure of these two highs, and the volume, right? I was noticing all of these things, and instead of getting out and getting into a new one and risking price leave me, right? Because it takes time to execute an order. So from the time I exited to the time I entered again, there would have been movement in price that I would have missed out on, right? And I needed to press reverse instead of closing and then entering again, so that way I didn't miss any of the movement that I was anticipating to happen, right? Whereas on the downside movement, I was not as confident as the downside movement because I didn't see the volume, right? I didn't see what I saw over here. So my intent with getting into the shorts was not hesitant, but just cautious, right? Because I know that the previous candles to this pullback was all bullish or, volume that pushed price up, right? So until I seen volume in the opposite direction or more of a signal to show me that price wants to continue going down, I had to be a little more patient and just exit and enter instead of completely reversing, right? Because if I would have completely reversed, what could have happened is price came down, swipe up whatever liquidity orders were here, because this is an imbalance in price, right? So we know that there are buyers in this area, right? 100% buyers in this area. So what does that mean on the moves to the downside? That means at any point, price could have stopped right here, and more buyers could have kicked in and pushed price back up, right? So if I would have gotten into another reversal, there was a possibility that I could have lost the profits that I literally just made, right? So that was more of a cautious move, and it's crazy you asked me that, and I was able to explain why, because it all happened so quick. Like, it literally, I don't know if y'all were here and like seeing me break down the entry and exit times, but some of these trades and decisions I literally had to make within the same second.
I was about to say, you could. Is there like a live playback speed?
So no, right? So like as the closest thing that I can get to a live playback speed is what we were doing here, right? So we're in replay mode, and we're gonna run it back to right here, right? So if I go ahead and press play, what you see is like candles appearing. Like, they just appear on the board, and the volume appears on the board.
It's like it doesn't mature.
Yes. So like if it's a live market, which we're actually gonna head to before I gotta leave here, just to see if there are any positions to get into. But basically, the difference between the replay and the actual market is that the candles, they just appear on screen rather than actually moving and showing how price is moving.
Yeah.
So that is the breakdown for today. Man, what a day today was. Rewind, pause, take notes, slow it down, do whatever you need to do. I just broke down 19 trades. So yeah, I would really hope you guys just take the time and watch. I showed my whole setup. I showed the type of trades I took and why, and I also showed the results, honest, true, transparent results of all the trades, and explained my mental process during it and how I went about fixing it to end up green. Okay? At this moment, we are going to enter the market here to see if there are any positions available, because the trading day does not end until 4. You know what? I'm not even. See, that was a reality check, right? What am I trying to get into a trade for? So, what I'm actually gonna do is see if I can mark up any charts, right? I'm gonna mark them up, but I will not be trading unless I have to, right? Nah, I'm just I'm just playing. If there's anybody out there, what's going on? How was that? How are you?
You say you're on Facebook too, right?
Yes. It doesn't show me anyone on Facebook, but it's all good. I ain't tripping. I see someone's here on Twitch. What's going on? I don't know who it is, but say what's up, though.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It said 1, but I pressed on it and it said just broadcast.
Says what?
It just says that.
Oh.
I press 1.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm the one viewing it.
Oh.
But because you're on it now, it's
That's your show too?
yeah. No, I'm saying that is you.
Oh, that view.
Yeah.
But since you're watching it, it's just gonna show that.
Yeah. All right. What's going on? MNQ. What do we got here? So on the 4-hour, we are bullish, right? We're on an uptrend. But what did we see today? Is this today? Today's Tuesday. Yeah. Damn. So we had a lot of down movement here in MNQ, right? But this down movement is what? A possible liquidity sweep. A possible liquidity sweep for the upside movement, right? What do we got here? Wicked all the way down. What did that wick do? That wick swept below this low, swept below this low, right? And even this little one over here, right? And these are all points or areas where buyers stepped into the market, right? So now what do we have? We had price wick all the way down. So we didn't get the candle closure, right? So what that means in my mind is there is still possible buyers here in this area. But we did get price to even come down here in the first place, right? So we know there's potential for sellers to hold down here. But as of right now, we just have it wicking down and the wick coming over to sweep the liquidity, right? So for basically what we would be anticipating, because it's an uptrend, is the upside movement, right? The upside movement after this pullback, this initial pullback. So for all my ICCers, right? So typically, where we at here? Typically on the higher time frame, right? On the higher time frame, what are we seeing? Price coming up, have a small pullback, go up again. We got a pullback here that led to a little sweep right here under these lows. But then what happened? Another indication, right? Another indication, and we reached a high point, and we are currently in the pullback phase, right? We had a little rise here, right? But this rise didn't really have much volume, right? And then what happened? We ended up still getting downside movement. So I believe we're still in the pullback phase, right? Until we get some validation that buyers have stepped into the market here. Okay, so boom. We don't really have anything here on MNQ. Let's look at the 5-minute. Okay, so look, right? Well, nah, because then I would be trading against the counter trend, right? But what I was gonna do is, you know, I'm not gonna mark it up because this isn't it. But we had the liquidity sweep here, right? Price got up to a high point, came down, we broke structure here, right? So now we're looking for the pullback back into this break of structure range for the continuation to the downside. But remember, you know, it's very risky to trade counter trend, right? Because if I make a trade going to the downside, while on the higher time frame it's showing obvious structure to the upside, you know, there's not high probability that that trade would hold, right? So that's why we don't trade against the trend. Let's look at MES. MES is usually similar to MNQ. What do we got here in the Dow Jones? What are we right now? We are bullish at the moment. So let's see, this 15-minute here. We're bullish. Okay, beautiful, right? So we're bullish at the moment, and we have an opportunity to get into a bullish setup, right? How do we know that? We know that because price went ahead and swept liquidity here, right? So price came down, went up, came down again, went up a little bit, and then came down again, right? So we know that this area right here, this area of consolidation, is a significant zone where buyers stepped in after the huge move that the sellers initiated, right? So we know that this is a significant either lower low or lower high, right? So we're gonna mark this because boom, we're gonna mark this as the liquidity sweep, right? Boom, boom, and then we had the sweep right here, and then boom, liquidity, right? Then what do we have? We have the liquidity sweep, then we have the strong upside move to the upside, right? So that is our breakout, right? That is our breakout structure, right? So boom, here is the breakout structure, right? And now what else do we see, right? We see price get to the absolute highest points, and what is it starting to do right now? Pull back, right? So now we have our premium and discount, right? Because this is the point where sellers stepped in and pushed price up, and this is the first point where sellers stepped back in to initiate the pullback, right? So we're anticipating a pullback into a specific zone where we know sellers can possibly step back into the market and cause it to go back up, right? So that's the whole basis of the strategy here. So what do we do now, right? We mark the breakout range or the breakout structure range, and boom, there's that, right? Now what do we go ahead and do? We go ahead and mark out the imbalance, right? The imbalance are areas where we know price had either 100% sellers or 100% buyers, right? And in that case, it's called the fair value gap, right? So this fair value gap was created because of imbalance in the market. So from the top of this wick to the bottom of this wick, there were 100% buyers, right? People who pushed price up. So that was our only imbalance. No, we got another imbalance here, right? Boom. From the bottom of this wick and the top of that one, right? Another area where we know there were 100% buyers. Boom. So now what do, right? Now that we see prices pulling back, we mark out our premium and discount, right? Basically, it's the range at which the buyers initially stepped in before it led to a breakout in structure and then a pullback in structure, right? So from the very beginning point before the break of structure to the very ending point where the pullback is starting, right? Because we know that this is an area where sellers stepped in and this is an area where buyers stepped in, right? And why is that, right? Because when anything is premium, right, the upper percentile range, when anything is premium, when anything is expensive or favorable to the consumer, right, it is expensive, and whoever owns it, the suppliers of whatever is expensive, they want to sell it so that they can make the money, right? So when this instrument is within the upper percentile range that we mapped out, we know that there are points in time where people want to sell it because it's in the premium range, right? The premium zone. So we want to see price come into what's called the discount zone. And the discount zone, which is the lower percentile range of this zone, is where we know that the whatever is being traded, the instrument, is considerably cheap, right? Considerably cheap for this range, right? What does that mean? It means when something is cheap, right, and there's an abundance of it, right, and people can get their hands on it, people want to buy it, right, because it's cheap. You can buy it. So what happens in this lower percentile range? There are areas in which we see buyers step in to push price up, right? Here, and here. So we are anticipating price to come back into the discount range, but then also show us some type of reaction within the imbalance of this discount range. Okay, discount range being the range we know buyers want to step in at any moment to push price up, but then two, this bullish fair value gap being a gap in which we know there are 100% only buyers, right? So we can anticipate after the move to the downside for price to react anywhere within this zone before the move to the upside, right? And the only way we want to get into this trade is if it gets within this lower percentile range. If it is not, you do not trade. If it is not, you do not trade. If it is not, you do not trade. That was for me. That was for y'all, but that was really for me. So yeah, we have it set up here, right? And what we're waiting for is for price to reach this range. And once it reaches this range, we will then go in for the candle confirmation that lets us know, hey, okay, price is done pulling back. It's time to ride this thing out of the park, just like the higher time frame is showing us, right? Uptrend. Okay? That's the bread and butter. That's the chicken and cheese. Okay? That's whatever you want to call it. That is the money making formula for me. This is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. I hope it was educational and entertaining. Okay, please run it back or come back to the stream tomorrow for more setups, more breakdowns, and analyzation. Okay, watch today's stream. See how I turned an $800 losing day into a almost $700 winning day. Here, let's look at this one more time. But overall, in today's profits, I'm $1,200 up, right? But because I started in an $800 drawdown, the balance had the offset, and I ended up closing out the day here with right about 700, 690 to be exact. So yeah, it was real. It was a great time. It's been a great past 3 days. And yo, what's going on? I'm actually ending things up, but if you are interested, just rewind it. Skip through whatever it is you need to skip through for me to get to the actual lesson part of things, and see how I made almost $700 in a day. So yeah, we about to end this thing up here. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, probably around anywhere from around like 11 to 2 p.m. depending on what time I get out of work. And I don't think we'll be trading because I'll already be trading during work. Same to you, man. I miss you, bro. I miss you. I hope the family is doing well. And I need to call you, bro. I need to call you more, and we need to connect more. I just been busy, bro. I've been working. I've been using every day, not taking it for granted, and just learning this new trade here that I picked up. And a lot of things as far as content. You see I'm streaming now, so we gonna try to be consistent and do more. But I see you doing your thing too. Keep it up with the music, and we're gonna connect, bro. We're gonna connect. I actually gotta yes sir, both ways. I actually gotta go pick up my girl right now from work, and then I got some cleaning up and shit to do. But I'll definitely be hitting you. Much love, cuzzo. Alright, y'all. We're gonna close this out. Y'all have a good one. Hey, cuzzo, if you still in here, tell me what you think about this beat. Give me a little freestyle to it.